Hey, Carlina here. I've had a lot of time to do some writing on my blog because I don't work for Thunderbolt Power Yoga anymore, which means I am doing some creative things and trying to pick myself up and start stuff fresh. And things are moving, but ultimately I have more time than not to kind of sit and dwell and be anxious and depressed, which is what a lot of my blogs have been on recently. I haven't shared that until recently, and I felt a lot of catharsis in so doing, and I think it's been an extension of my yoga to do so because I realized that I have not been sharing. I have not even shared it with myself, so to speak. I haven't been able to extract it from within me, put it down in a place where I can look at it objectively and say, oh, well, shit, I think I should probably do something about it. Here are the things that, looking at my depression and anxiety, I can actually do, right? So when I would sit and try to meditate, since all of that was still in me, I would feel like having an immediate panic attack, and that was great. And being depressed, I certainly have not felt like, getting all amped and like in the zone to do yoga at home. And I'm too poor to do yoga pretty much anywhere but at home. I don't have a car either right now, so getting to any other place to do yoga would have been somehow a miracle of me learning to apparate into a different space because my car died like 3.5 weeks ago, compounding my depression. So I've been writing because a lot of other things have been sort of off the table recently, and writing cleared out enough of the junk and allowed me to observe it objectively that I could then start to meditate again. And slowly I have been digging myself out of the hole and learning. And in the process of learning, I realized that sharing some of the things that I learned are good. So my latest blog post is about 5 tips to help you when you've already gone through the emotional bender and you've got a stress hangover and you're trying to mitigate that, right? Because the quickest way to have a panic attack once you've already had one is to do nothing about it. So if you are interested in all 5 of the tips that I share, then you can check out the link below, which I've posted for your ease, but it's pretty simple too. It's just congruenceyoga.com/blog. It's the top post right now on the page, and if not, the link will be down there, so you can always just click it. The last 5th item on that list is to recognize the physicality of your panic attack or emotional valley, or maybe you had a fight with somebody, or whatever it is that kind of caused you to go into full-blown crisis mode. Pretty simple. Close your eyes, doesn't matter what position you're in, and give yourself about 10 or 15 seconds to do an assessment. We're not talking about a big inventory. I just want you to be able to say the first 2 places in your body that feel like garbage. Okay, so first 2 places. For me, the number one thing that feels bad is this area, both the front and the back of me. Feels like I'm compressed, like I can't get a good breath, like my heart is racing, like I'm tight back here and there's like pressure on my heart. So the first thing that I like to do is this one stretch. Very simple. Okay, so let's say that's good enough. So anything mid-thigh up to probably rib cage. Put it out there. All you need is about enough space between your hands that you can stick your head through your arms. And then you just drop your head through, which immediately begins to put space in your back. If it's all kinked up, this is one good way to start to open it up. Get rid of that feeling like your heart is being clamped from behind you. Also can breathe into your chest better, and will open you up through your armpits, so any residual stress chemicals that have dumped into your lymphatic system so not holding that, not lingering there. Really just need to do it until you feel any shift. Some shifts that you might feel. So you might feel like you can breathe better. You might feel an immediate sense of relief. You might feel like you want to cry, but like the release kind of cry, not the like, oh my gosh, everything's so fucked up and I want to end it all kind of cry, okay? So if you're feeling anywhere better, back towards neutral, ground zero, that's the kind of change that you want to look out for. You're not trying to set a big lofty goal of doing it for like 10 minutes or even a couple of minutes. No goals, except for to feel a change in the direction of neutral or positive. That's pretty simple, pretty basic, right? So next one is a squat. And I'll back this up again just a little bit. A lot of people can't do a great squat. All right, so if you can't do a great squat, then find something to sit on like I'm doing. And you can approach this one of two ways. So people reportedly feel stress in their hips a lot from being stressed out, tension in their hips. I do feel that to a lesser degree, but I do feel it for all the same. So one thing you can do is you can try to open your hips that way. So you can put your elbows inside of your knees and just push your knees out and lean forward until you have a straight spine. Or you can fold all the way forward, probably go out of camera now, and let your spine droop. But if you can squat, then squat instead. So if you can even squat a little bit, squat instead. But I'm gonna recommend that you do a version of a squat where you can actually hold it, which for me ends up being on a soft surface where that give allows me to let my knees track over my toes better, which does not happen on hard ground for me. My ankles are very tight. All right, so same idea, except if you can, let your butt go down deep. This helps to put your hips back in the right orientation in their capsules, which is important for connecting your lower body into your core, and all of that's important for good blood flow. And I mean, there's just a cascade of reasons why. If you want me to, I'll write a post about it, but it gets sciencey pretty quick about why. So just suffice it to say that it's good to squat deep. You can push your knees out to kind of get into your outer hips some too, or folding into it is going to allow more stretch in your entire spine. You'll probably feel it in, I mean, really, you could feel it anywhere in your entire spine. So if your spine feels jumped up and tight and compressed, like just bad energy is lingering there, squatting and folding could be a really useful thing. All right. Another variation is to cross your legs and fold, which helps target your low back specifically, think stretching that space out, like stretching like this and like this, the muscles on your low back, less of a twisting kind of spinal adjustment release and more of just like the muscles relaxing there. Okay, so next one, child's pose. Standard of yoga. Your toes will be untucked. I'll show you that in a second, but ideally, you know, depends. How you want your legs is gonna vary based on the symptoms of stress that you're feeling in your body. So if you feel stress in your face, you're gonna take a position where it's easier for you to kind of face plant into the ground, because you want pressure on the skin and the muscles in your face so that they relax. It's like low level, letting gravity give you a massage. And a lot of times for me, this is just probably part of my pitta nature, but I will just get so bunched up in my gut. Like, I'll be on the phone with somebody arguing or like receiving bad news, and I'm just sitting there eating, and then I'm like, why am I eating right now? I already feel like garbage in my stomach, and putting food on my stomach while it's tied up in knots does not seem smart, all right? But sometimes I don't even catch myself, and before you know it, I'm halfway done stress eating and like sobbing because things are shit, all right? So you gotta know, right? You gotta know. If you don't know, then you can't do anything about it. If your belly gets all jumbled up like mine does, and people's bellies do get all jumbled up, that's why they get ulcers, have your legs together. The first thing that's going to happen is your body's going to want to resist, and it's going to tense up instead of relaxing, more than likely, okay? So when you put your belly on your thighs and you compress into a little ball, notice if your first reaction is to tense up, and if so, then your work is just going to be to relax into it. Again, in case you couldn't see from the other side, my toes are not tucked underneath me. Hey, look, this is actually a great strategy for people whose ankles don't want to flatten out. If your ankles kind of stay like that, even when your toes are untucked, dangle your feet off of the edge of a piece of furniture, and then do a child's pose. Okay, so there's one more that I think is really important, and this is opening up the front of you, okay? So this one, I'll take my shoes off, kick this out of the way. This one is referred to as double saddle in yoga. I'll show you the setup and then I'll flip it around so you can see me talk a little bit better. Okay, so you start kind of like child's pose with your knees out wide, toes untucked and feet together behind you, and different bodies will allow a different degree of this. You just kind of lay back. You want to be able, eventually at least, to get to a point where you're reclined enough that the front of your body is stretching and opening up. For whatever reason, probably partially due to their centralized location and the nature of these muscles connecting your core and your low body, psoas muscles and hip flexors tend to get really tight, and or if not specifically tight, just to have this achy feeling like truly your emotions are like all bottled up in there. So double saddles is really good for that. Go over those one more time. You've got your H-shaped heart opener stretch, where you just stick your arms out on a waist-high piece of furniture, walk your legs back enough that you can bend in half and stick your arms through your legs. You've got your squat, which can open your hips up, or you can fold forward in your squat and stretch out your whole spine. Slight variation on that is you can sit cross-legged and fold forward to target your low back specifically. You can do child's pose, which is going to help you relieve headaches and stress in your eyes and face and jaw. And that's the wide-legged variation, or any variation of it that allows you to get your face down onto the ground all of the way. Or you can do the legs together variation, which I think can be particularly helpful to reset your belly if you tend to hold a lot of stress there. And then finally, you've got double saddle, which is good for opening up your front body. It opens up your psoas, probably is in your quads, are two of the places that you're going to feel it the most. But if you stay there long enough, it's going to open up the space in your ribs, in your heart. And if you experience a lot of stress, depression, anxiety, you know that is a really tender and vulnerable area. So yeah, hopefully these can be useful for you. Please, if you have any questions about them, you can either go to the blog and learn a couple of other supplementary tips to go along with this, or you can ask me questions here or there. That both of those work. You know, ideally, I view these hard times in my life as learning moments, opportunities for me to learn. And the takeaway from that is to learn what to share and how to connect with people through, you know, overcoming these things. As people who experience anxiety and depression, you probably have moments where you feel marginalized, and that might be a reality, not just something that you feel. But if we're ever going to move past that, we have to set ourselves up for success, which means that we have to take care of ourselves so that we can continue to be prepared in every other way. If you're not someone of means, it's really easy to get depressed and to feel stressed and anxious. So it doesn't do you any favors to get so far down in that hole that you can't take advantage of the opportunities that do come, right? So this is me being here for you, and I'm here to answer any questions that you might have as well. And I'm gonna continue to post, I'm gonna continue to write and share videos, and certainly I'll take prompts if you have specifics. I'm happy to address them to the best of my ability. And hopefully, you know, we can just build each other up and yeah, be ready for the next good thing when it does come. All right. Thank you so much. Connect to your spirit, yogis. Namaste.